Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something absolutely fundamental, really. Decision-making, how we make choices, and maybe more importantly, how we can get better at making the ones that actually help us.
Yeah, and our starting point for this deep dive is, well, it's a concept many people know, especially if they've looked into Stoic philosophy. It's the dichotomy of control.
Right. That idea.
That powerful idea that we should focus our energy only on what we truly control, our thoughts, our judgments, our responses, essentially, and then accept everything else. You know, the external stuff, events, other people.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Control your inner world, let the outer world be. But the source material we've been exploring raises a really crucial point here. While that Stoic idea is fantastic for, peace of mind, resilience, just trying to force ourselves using pure willpower to pick the right choice in the moment, that often doesn't quite work out.
That's exactly where these sources challenge things. They argue that our choices, they're shaped by, well, a lot more than just conscious will. It's not as simple as knowing better and just trying harder.
There are deeper things going on.
Deeper forces, yeah, tied to how our brains are actually wired, how they interact with everything around us.
Okay, so the mission for this deep dive then is to explore a more maybe comprehensive approach. Integrating philosophy, yes, but also bringing in psychology, neuroscience, based on this material to see how we move beyond just willing ourselves to make better decisions.
Exactly. We'll unpack why pure willpower often, lets us down, how our feelings and our surroundings play this huge role, sometimes more than we think, and crucially look at practical ways to actually manage the probability of making good choices.
Probability, not just the choice itself. Interesting.
Yeah, rather than just fighting that battle in the moment.
No. Okay, let's start there then. Why isn't just leaning on the dichotomy of control, as good as it is, the whole story for the nitty-gritty daily choices? We like the principle. Control internal, accept external.
And it is foundational, great for handling hardship, keeping inner calm, but the sources really highlight its limits when it comes to actually executing a choice. We often just don't choose what we know is best. Even when we feel like, I should control this is internal, you need to work on that report.
And yet, there you are, scrolling through social media again.
Yeah, exactly. That internal choice, it just seems to slip away.
That gap between knowing and doing, it's so relatable. Yeah. So what does the material say causes that gap? Why isn't just deciding to focus enough sometimes?
Well, the sources link it back to pretty basic brain function, actually. Our brains are super efficient with energy.
Right.
And they're also wired with a bit of a bias. They lean towards immediate rewards over things that pay off later.
The instant gratification thing.
Totally. That little buzz from a notification, instant. The satisfaction from finishing a big project, that's way off. Takes effort. So the brain often just defaults to the easier, quicker reward pathway, especially if your energy is low.
So it's not necessarily that I'm weak-willed. It could be more biological, like an energy management problem.
Precisely. And things like stress or just being tired, they make it much worse. When you're stressed or fatigued, your brain's capacity for that high-level, rational control, it shrinks.
Right.
You become much more prone to impulse, to seeking comfort, distraction, whatever your rational mind thinks is the Stoic right choice.
Okay, so this is where the shift happens. Instead of thinking, I need more willpower for this single choice, the insight from the sources is, change the game. Focus on the probability of making the good choice.
Exactly that. If willpower is this finite thing, easily depleted under pressure, the smarter play is to stack the deck in your favor. Adjust the conditions, the whole situation around your decision-making so the good choice becomes way more likely.
Okay. And the source material breaks this down. It gives us, 3 key pillars for managing that probability. The first one gets into understanding our emotions, using ideas like the theory of constructed emotion.
Yeah, this theory, as the sources discuss it, it kind of reframes emotions. They're not just automatic reactions that happen to us. Your brain actively builds them.
Builds them how?
Using input like your physical state. Are you tired, energized, your past experiences, what happened last time, and the concepts or language you have, how do you label this feeling or situation? And since emotions are massive drivers of behavior, they signal what might be good or bad for us. Understanding how they're built is key to nudging that choice probability.
Okay, so let's take an example. If my brain, because maybe I struggled last time, predicts that sitting down to write is going to feel stressful, it actually constructs that feeling of stress, which then makes you want to avoid writing.
Yeah.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy based on history.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, it's predicting based on the past. And the words we use matter hugely here.
How so?
Well, thinking of writing as this unbearable chore versus, say, a tricky puzzle or even just 5 minutes of exploring ideas, that changes the conceptual ingredients your brain uses. It changes the emotion it constructs, and that influences whether you dive in or back away.
And our physical state underpins all this, right?
Mm.
Being run down makes it harder to construct maybe calmer or more rational emotional responses.
Absolutely. Low energy often means more impulsive constructions. So the sources give some really practical things here, like when you feel anxious about something, pause, ask yourself, is this feeling really about the task right now? Or is it mostly my brain predicting based on something else, past stress? Maybe I misunderstood the task.
So interrogating the emotion a bit.
Yeah, and actively changing your self-talk. Reframe it. Stressful duty becomes skill-building exercise or something less loaded.
Okay.
And crucially, look after your physical state before big decisions or tough tasks. Rest, food, maybe some simple deep breathing that changes the raw data your brain works with, making a focused response more probable.
Okay, pillar 1, work with the internal emotional construction. Pillar 2, this one feels more external, but the sources say it's incredibly powerful, redesigning your environment.
Oh yeah, this one really drives home the limits of willpower. The sources basically argue your environment often has more say over your choices than your internal resolve does.
More say, wow.
Think about it. If the temptation, the thing you're trying to avoid, is right there, easy to grab your phone buzzing next to you while you're trying to focus,
Mhm.
the probability you'll eventually check it just skyrockets as your willpower gets tired.
It's like trying to avoid cookies when the cookie jar is right on your desk.
Yeah.
It's just setting yourself up for failure eventually.
Exactly. It's an unfair fight. So the application is simple, but really effective. Make the bad choices harder, make the good choices easier, just change the space.
Like turning off notifications, putting the phone somewhere else entirely.
Yep. And the flip side. Set things up so the good choice is the easy default. Lay out gym clothes, keep healthy food visible and ready, create a specific workspace just for focused work, nothing else.
The sources mentioned changing defaults too, didn't they? Like grayscale mode on your phone.
Right. It
Yeah.
makes it less visually appealing, less likely to suck you in. You're not fighting the urge with willpower alone. You're weakening the urge itself by changing the environment. It's about cutting down the number of those willpower battles you even have to face.
Makes sense. Fewer battles means more energy for the important ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that leads to pillar 3, using neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself.
Yeah, our brain's amazing ability to change based on experience. And the sources point out that every choice we make literally nudges that wiring.
How so?
Every time you manage to resist that distraction and stay focused, you're strengthening the neural pathways for focus, for task completion. Just a tiny bit, but it adds up.
And the reverse is true too, presumably. Give in to the distraction, check the phone.
And you reinforce the pathways for avoidance, for seeking that quick dopamine hit. You're essentially training your brain with every single choice.
Okay, so the practical side here is about deliberate practice and reinforcement.
Exactly. The sources suggest using positive reinforcement. When you make that good choice, even a small one, acknowledge it. Maybe give yourself a small, healthy reward, importantly, not the thing you're trying to limit. This builds a positive link to the new behavior in your brain.
And starting small seems crucial here too. Like instead of, I must write for 2 hours, which sounds daunting.
Right, that might just trigger the avoidance prediction we talked about.
Try, I'll just focus for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That feels achievable. It's a small win.
A small win that starts building that success pathway. Lots of small wins build momentum, and they physically strengthen those good circuits. So you're making it more likely your brain will just default to that desired pathway next time, needing less conscious effort, less willpower.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. We have understanding and reshaping emotions, redesigning the environment, and using neuroplasticity to build habits. These 3 pillars working together, that's what the sources are saying, is a more effective, more practical take on that Stoic dichotomy of control.
Yeah, it shifts the idea of control from just that single moment of choice, which is often really hard, to controlling the systems and the conditions that influence the choice.
So you're controlling the probability over the long run.
Exactly. You're not just trying to wrestle your choice into submission with willpower. You're landscaping your inner and outer world so the good choices are more likely to just happen.
Addressing the emotions, the environment, the brain's actual wiring feels much more robust, more sustainable than just relying on willpower, which we know fades. It takes that ancient wisdom and really grounds it in, well, how we actually function.
And for anyone listening who wants to explore these ideas further, the source material did point to a couple of good resources. For the Stoic Foundations, The Beginner's Guide to Stoicism by Matthew J. Van Natta was recommended.
Okay? And for that fascinating science behind how emotions work, the theory of constructed emotion, the sources really highlighted how emotions are made by Lisa Feldman Barrett. Calls it pretty revolutionary stuff.
It really does shift how you think about making changes, doesn't it? If better choices aren't just about gritting your teeth harder,
Right.
but about strategically tweaking your inner state, your surroundings, your habits, then the final